Today, we discuss Ariel Helwani and his evil agenda against Dana White in the UFC. And we're going to get into Luke, folks, we have a problem, Thomas, and what he's probably going to say in his live chat about fighter pay and the class action lawsuit. Join me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA, and we're going to get into it. Let's start with Ariel Helwani. So, to kind of set the scene for you, this is all centered around Wonderboy getting his pay from the UFC for his fight that fell out with Michelle Pereira 2 or 3 weeks ago. Let's get into it. So, just to set the scene real quick, here's the situation. Michelle Pereira missed weight by like 3 pounds. It then went to a negotiation between Michelle and Wonderboy on if Wonderboy wanted to take the fight. Wonderboy did not want to take the fight because he missed by too many pounds. He did not want any portion of Michelle Pereira's pay. He wanted to go ahead and not fight this man. Fine, that's cool. And then enters Dana White in the UFC and the negotiations on what, or everybody's feelings on what Wonderboy should be paid. That's where we're at as far as that's what originally happened. Now let's get into Ariel. Ariel has spoken on his Wednesday MMA hour show. He talked about Dana White, the UFC, and them not paying Wonderboy, and how it was just, I can't believe that they wouldn't pay him. And why would you not pay the man? He did his job. He showed up for the fight. And I can't believe that they're making narratives in which they wouldn't pay him. Here's the deal. I'm first speaking, as I've said many times on my channel, I was a huge fan of Ariel Helwani. I've been watching him for years. But as of the last year to year and a half, I feel that the man has truly begun to, he is now letting his biases against maybe Dana White, against the UFC, against whoever, creep into what he is supposed to be doing, which is being a journalist and not being biased towards anybody and reporting the facts and then giving his opinion on it. However, his opinion has now become an entire bias against Dana White in the UFC. Thus, he comes on his channel and he spins these narratives to make everybody believe, oh, Dana White's evil. Oh, the UFC's evil. And that's a whole separate conversation. My gripe, my beef, what grinds my gears is the fact that Ariel Helwani is using his channel with all the juice, all the followers, all the subscribers to push his narrative, which today in 2023 on social media is the problem, okay? I'm saying that while I'm doing a YouTube video, but let's all just say, y'all can all see my subscriber count. Y'all can all see my views. I'm nobody in this game. So I'm just one little guy here. But I'm talking about guys like Luke Thomas, guys like Ariel Helwani, who have Showtime behind them, a big, huge company that is behind Morning Combat and Luke Thomas. While we also have Ariel Helwani, who has MMA fighting / Vox behind him as far as the MMA hour, and then all of his subscribers, all of his everything on his personal channel. Here's the issue. Let's get right down to it. Michelle Pereira missed weight. So we're just gonna make this about fighter A and fighter B. Fighter A is Michelle Pereira. Fighter B is Wonderboy Thompson. Here's the issue. Fighter A, Michelle Pereira, misses weight by 3 pounds. When that fighter misses weight, at that point, it becomes a negotiation between fighter A's camp and fighter B's camp. In this case, fighter B being Wonderboy. They are going to negotiate. The negotiation is, hey, I missed weight. If you still want to fight, let's negotiate how much of my purse you are going to take in order for us to still be able to fight. That is the negotiation. So, generally, fighter B would negotiate, we want 20% of your purse, or we want 30% of your purse, depending on how much weight they miss by. And if you give us that, we will definitely take this fight. Now, let's say fighter B, which is Wonderboy, and this is really what happened, feels the weight loss is by too many pounds. You're going to have too much of a weight advantage, something along those lines. So fighter B, being Wonderboy, says, hey, I don't really want to take this fight. You know, you missed by too much. I had to sweat it out in the sauna to make the weight. I don't want to take this fight, so I'm not going to negotiate part of your purse. I just don't want to take the fight. At that point, fighter A, in this situation being Michelle Pereira, is out of it. So he's out of it. At that point, the negotiation now happens between fighter B, which is Wonderboy Stephen Thompson, and the UFC. What is the negotiation? Am I going to, what am I going to get paid because I made weight? I did my portion of this. I'm not responsible for this guy missing weight. And I am not going to take the fight with Michelle Pereira because he's overweight. At that point, the UFC has to negotiate with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson based out of, are we going to pay you your show money for showing up here today and making weight? This is where Ariel is so upset. This is the key thing. As it was described by Dana White and has been reported by other outlets, at this point, it depends on how much fighter B, being Wonderboy, makes to show. So, for example, if you have a fighter who's only going to make 50 grand to show and 50 grand to win, well, then the UFC, in a lot of cases, it's been proven in the past, will go ahead and pay them their show money, or if the fighter makes 40 and 40. So all they're going to essentially pay him is $40,000. The UFC generally would decide to pay him that. Let's say it's lower. It's $20,000. It's $15,000. It's $10,000. It's almost like it's a tiered list, right? A tiered structure of your payout, which makes sense in the business world. It just does. That's just what it is. So if your payout is only going to be X amount of dollars, the UFC is like, okay, we'll go ahead and pay you your show money. You did your part. That's that. Now, there's another option that the UFC has. In fighters like Wonderboy's case, who no one knows the exact number because I don't believe Wonderboy's released the exact number. There are a lot of reports that Wonderboy might make anywhere from 125 grand to 250,000 as part of his show money, because Wonderboy's a star. He's been around in the UFC for a long time. He's always been a stand-up guy for the company. They have a good relationship. However, the amount of money he would make to show, this is all that it is. I'm going to simplify it for all the Ariel Helwani peons out there. To simplify it, if you make too much money, if it's a large number, we know that UFC is worth billions of dollars, but the reality of it is, even to a billionaire, 250 grand is still a lot of money when you're running a company. So they determine, there is almost like a tier list, so to speak, of if you're making this much money to show, we need to figure something out. Because there, and a lot of this was actually described. I don't know if any of my followers follow this guy or have ever watched his videos, but shout out to Jesse on Fire. He broke all of this down as far as the whole deal between Ariel, Wonderboy, and Dana White. So shout out to Jesse on Fire. You're doing great work, bro. Us smaller channels are watching you, and you're doing a great job. Outstanding. Shout out to the MMA guru, who has also highlighted a lot of these things. Here's the deal. If you're making so much money to show, the UFC is not going to just automatically pay you your show money outright without figuring a few things out. Because if they do that, there are fighters even higher than that, whose base pay might be, their show money might be 500 grand. It might be 300,000. It could be 400,000. Who knows? And they don't want to just automatically say, well, you made weight. We're going to go ahead and pay you 500,000. We're going to go ahead and pay you whatever your show money is, and you go on about your business. Because that's a lot of money to pay out. And guys like Ariel have to admit, yeah, we want it all to be fair, but the world isn't fair, bro. That's just what it is. So quit getting on your platform trying to make everything fair that's not. Okay? The reality of it is, it's based out of how much you're going to get paid. My assumption is, I don't know this to be fact. My assumption is that Wonder Boy's show money is a little bit higher than what the UFC would normally be like. Steven, we're gonna pay you. Go off and enjoy the rest of your weekend. His show money must have been a little bit higher than what their structure allots them to just instantly be like, we're gonna pay this dude. So, with that being said, it then goes to another negotiation where Wonder Boy's team would negotiate with the UFC on how much they're going to pay. But generally, what happens is the UFC scrambles to get them another fight. So they would then come back to Wonder Boy and say, hey, we got you another fight in 2 weeks. Hey, we got you another fight next week on this show. Hey, we got you another fight 3 weeks from now. Is this going to be doable for you? At that time, it would be up to Wonder Boy and his team to assess it. Yeah, it's not ideal. Yeah, we know Wonder Boy's 40. Yeah, it's not the ideal situation, but you're still given a choice. Do you want to fight this replacement fighter? I would like to also add, it's also got to be some sort of a short notice or replacement for Wonder Boy's opponent, which would kind of make that portion of it fair, somewhat. But we know it's not ideal for Wonder Boy to be like, in 2 weeks, I'm going to fight somebody else, make weight again and everything. So if he chooses not to take that fight, the fight that they're now offering Wonder Boy, that's cool, bro. That's fine. Don't take it. So then the negotiation then becomes, hey, look, this is the UFC talking to Wonder Boy's camp. Hey, man, we still can't just flat out just pay the dude, like, his show money, because his show money's a little bit higher than the guy's show money who's 50 grand, 40 grand, 20 grand, 10 grand. So let's negotiate some sort of a purse that we're going to pay Wonder Boy for making weight, and we'll go on about our business, because we understand it wasn't his fight. I'm sorry, it wasn't his fault. We understand that it was Michelle Pereira's fault. We understand that. But his amount of money he makes is a little bit higher than your guy who only makes 20 and 20. That guy, we're just going to pay him his show money of 20 because he's probably ain't doing so well. He might, I'm not literally saying this guy's poor, but bro, he's making 20 and 20. We'll pay him his little 20 grand, send him on about his business. But your guy, being Wonder Boy, his show money might be 250,000. If he has a show of 250,000, Wonder Boy's already living fairly good. I'm not saying that he's made all the money that Floyd Mayweather has made, but he's not living the same way that somebody whose show money is 20,000. So follow your boy Matt on this one. They are saying, hey, we can't pay you 250,000, which is Wonder Boy's show money. We're going to offer you another fight. Okay, cool. You don't want that other fight in 2 weeks. That's fine. We understand that. It's not ideal. So what we're going to do in return is we're going to negotiate an amount of Wonder Boy's show purse that we can pay you and offer you a more ideal fight in your time frame when you think you want to fight. That's what it is. That's the end of the tweet. That's what it is. But Ariel Helwani is spinning this whole narrative as if the UFC is evil, Dana White is evil. They have all the money in the world. They're worth billions of dollars. Why wouldn't they pay this man? Because, Ariel, it's still a business. And it doesn't matter how much money they're worth. It doesn't matter how much money they gross or they make. The fact of the matter is, it is a business, and there are things in line. There are structures at play. There are tiers at play. Now, I know you would probably never believe that, Mr. Helwani, but they are at play here. So, meaning, it's a business, bro. It's not just it's sold for $4.5 billion. It's a business. It has a structure. It has a tier level. Yeah, they're going to bend and fold for certain fighters, and that's not fair, but that's life. That's the world. That's how it works, bro. You know what I'm saying? Ariel is going to show a little bit of favor. If Ariel, 20 years from now, one of his children wants to be a journalist, Ariel is going to do everything in his power to put one of his children in play to be the best journalist they could be. The UFC operates that way, but with their stars. If you're a star, you're bringing in millions of followers, millions of dollars. You sell every fight. You help us promote. You do all these things. We might look after you. We might take care of you. That's the world. That's the world. It ain't never going to be fair when you're talking about billion-dollar companies. It's never fair. Yeah, these companies are worth billions or millions of dollars, whatever the company is, and they could afford to pay everybody all of this money if they wanted to. But the fact of the matter is, they're a major company. They have shareholders that they have to also answer to. They got to make everyone happy. It's not fair, but it's how the world works. I don't see nobody lining up in front of McDonald's main office, wherever that's at, like, you all have all the money. You could pay your fry cooks an additional $1,000 per check if you want to. Do it. Ariel's not lining up there to argue that point. So to keep it all the way real, what I'm saying is all big major companies could afford to pay people more. That's not what we arguing. What we're talking about is you spending this web, making this agenda against the UFC and Dana White, and now you got done threw poor Wonderboy in it, and you're using him as the figurehead. Oh, I can't believe what they're doing to Wonderboy. And why would Wonderboy's 40 years old, and he's been a stand-up guy for you, and always been a company man. Why wouldn't you pay him his show money? Because his show money's too high, bro. His show money's too much. We can't. You know, yeah, we could technically afford to, but the reality of the game is, bro, that's not how we do business, okay? And we done taken care of Wonderboy a lot under the table, or otherwise Wonderboy's show money wouldn't have gone up to that much. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's the exact number. I'm just saying for the sake of this argument, maybe it's 150,000, maybe it's 185,000. Whatever his show money is, it's got to be higher than your regular run-of-the-mill UFC fighter who's making 50 and 50, 30 and 30, 40 and 40, 20 and 20. So that's where it's at. It's just a simple negotiation. Yeah, we all Wonderboy fans. We want Wonderboy to make $1 million per fight. That's what we want. But the reality of it is you can't change the UFC structure. And you're trying to report it in a way that they're evil or that the Dana White is evil. And both parties may very well be. But the evidence that you're using for that being this Wonderboy situation, that ain't it, my guy. That just ain't it. And so you got Ariel out here spinning these agendas at all times on his show. And honestly, as somebody that's been watching the show for years, I feel bad. Because I honestly wonder if you could pull some of his guys that work on that show, if you could just pull them to the side like, hey, bro, New York Rick, Connor Burks, you know, GC, can I pull you to the side real quick? Let me talk to you. Can I holler at you real quick? Be real, bro. I ain't got no microphone. I ain't got nothing that's you're not gonna get in trouble. This is off the record. You know Ariel's full of, you know, right? You know he's full of ish, right? You know he's on some BS, right? You can't possibly follow every take. I know he's your boss. I get it. But you know he's kind of on some BS, but you just can't really verbalize it, right? Okay, that's what I thought. Because there's some good people working on that show, if y'all don't know, but it's like Ariel is just out there like, blah, 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 just spewing off all of this BS. Wow. I mean, he was going off and he's spinning this. Oh my God, you can't expect Wonderboy to take another fight in 2 weeks. Oh my God, he's 40 years old. He'll have to make weight again. First of all, they didn't force him into doing it. They was just saying, bro, it's not our policy. We're not going to pay you your full show money. Now, I know some people might pull out different fighters that they did pay the full show money to. I would say I would need to know how much their show money was, and also, is that person a star? Okay? Because that's how the world works. If it was a star, they might bend and fold, make a few things happen. They might not. But it's a case-by-case basis. But in this case, you can't use the Wonder Boy situation as something that's proof that Dana White is an evil guy, which he could be. I mean, granted, what he did to his wife, I don't know. He might really be an evil guy. I'm not here defending him or defending the UFC. What I'm doing is saying, Ariel, stop, bro. Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it, bro. Like, stop trying to spin this as if, oh, they're evil and they do this. Come on, man. Just stop that. Anyway, let's move on. So, also, earlier, I believe it was late last night, earlier today, it came out that I believe it's, I don't know if it's a Supreme Court or a district court, I'm not sure. They have now ruled the lawsuit that's been going on against the UFC since like 2014 with a lot of fighters like Kung Lee. I believe John Fitch was a part of it at one point. There's been a lawsuit that they filed basically stating that the UFC use illegal methods, illegal tactics, nefarious tactics, so on and so forth, to essentially eliminate all the competition of the UFC, or for the most part. Therefore, the fighters don't have many choices of companies they can go make a good living from, as well as that the UFC kind of boxed them out of their contract to be able to use their likeness on video games and make a substantial amount of money, as well as kind of put them in a situation where, their contracts were structured in a nefarious way where the UFC makes all the money. I know this is funny because of the previous topic I just said. Here's the deal. I totally agree with the fighters. I think they should be getting paid more money. I think that they should be making more, as all the different things that they're stating in this class action lawsuit. I agree. Back to my point I just made, though. My previous point I just made about the Wonderboy situation, we're not here to negotiate or talk about how much fighters should be making. As an MMA fan, it's inherent. We all believe fighters should be making tons and tons and tons of money because they put their life and their body on the line and their livelihood every day to go in there and fight to entertain all of us. So that is sealed. That's how I believe it. That's how most of us believe it. But let's get back to this class action suit that has now been ruled as a class action suit. It's been elevated to that point, which would allow more UFC fighters to get involved than just the original, however many it was, and get in on this suit to sue the UFC for like 1 something billion. Here's the deal. I'm not here to talk about that lawsuit. I mean, it is what it is, man, because I want the fighters to get paid. Again, what I said earlier, I just want to say, for anybody might come for me in the comments, just want to say what I was saying earlier is not advocating for, I'm not trying to say Wonderboy should make more money. Yes, he should. What I was saying is his situation isn't what Ariel is spinning it to be, that they're evil, which they might be, but you can't prove it from the Wonderboy situation because that wasn't what it was. Back to the class action suit, as it's going to relate to Luke, folks, we have a major problem in mixed martial arts. Thomas. He's going to do his live chat later on today, in which, much like Ariel, he is going to try to act like he understands the ins and outs of this lawsuit, which none of us are, I'm not a lawyer. Luke Thomas is not a lawyer. He's going to act like he talked to somebody who is. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Who knows? Every time you see him on his channel talking, he's like, I don't have the time, folks, to do this and do that. So you got the time to talk to lawyers too? Anyway. Or it could be, maybe he's got a friend who's a lawyer. I'm not here to judge all of that. That's cool. If he does, he does. He's going to get on his live chat later on, and he's going to talk about how, the UFC doesn't pay their fighters enough, which is true. The UFC is wrong, and they do this and do that. But the key is, mark my words, he is going to spin a narrative way beyond, way bigger than the actual class action lawsuit. He's going to say folks a lot of times, and he's going to spin it about major corporations. They should share their wealth with everyone and share the money, and this is what's wrong with America and what's wrong with the world. He's going to make it a generalized world epic problem, as he did when we were all locked down in the house for that period of time for things I can't really speak about because they'll mess up my video. And he jumped out on the limb and made all of these wild accusations, then had to apologize for it like 2 weeks ago. My point for what I'm saying is he's not really going to speak on the true facts and what's going on about this class action lawsuit. While he will bring them up, but he will bring them up in a way to use for his own LT narrative of whatever he chooses to have a beef with today. If that's the UFC, if that's Dana White, if that's whatever, he's going to do that. This is coming from a man that has argued with his own co-host, BC Brian Campbell, for the last few years now over he doesn't believe that there's under the table or backroom pay at the UFC. I mean, what are we doing here, bro? He literally doesn't believe that there are fighters who are paid stuff under the table, who are given the little backroom bonuses and everything. I mean, Dana White essentially alludes to it a lot. Yeah, we're going to take care of him. Yeah, so-and-so, yeah, it was a crazy fight. We're going to take care of him, though. You know, what does he think that means when they say they're going to take care of him? Bro, they're going to slide him some money on the low. That's what they do. I mean, DC... Daniel Cormier has said that for one of his early fights, Lorenzo Fertitta came in the locker room with him. They paid him $1 million, low key $1 million for one of his fights because they hated how it went. I don't know which fight it is. I don't remember. He said this, though. He said this on an episode. It might have been when he was doing the show with Ariel Helwani, when he used to do the MMA hour and he was one of the hosts. Bro. He said that he was given $1 million on the low. Wasn't part of his regular pay because Lorenzo Fertitta believed in him. Frank Fertitta believed in him. Dana White, they felt like he was a good guy. They paid him that for whatever went on in one of his fights. I mean, bro, there's numerous fighters that have said over the years that they were given the backroom bonus, the under the table bonus for different things. They were given a little bit of money. However, in big business, or let's say if it's not an official business, some folks might come from a little bit of, a checkered past, you know what I'm saying? Might come from a checkered past. Sometimes as a boss, somebody does a little bit of work for you, they do it better than the next guy, you might have to slide them a little money on the low, like, I appreciate everything you do, bro. Yeah, I'm holding you down, but here's the key to this. And I would assume this is what the Fertittas and the Dana White and everybody else is operated off of. Don't talk about what I'm giving you, because if you talk about what I'm giving you, I can't keep giving y'all low-key money, you know what I'm saying? All right, don't speak on this. So, then you got Luke Thomas who thinks, well, the fighters won't confirm that they were given backroom bonuses. They can't confirm it, my dude, because if they do, they'll cease to receive backroom bonuses. So they can't talk about it. But when you're in this perfect straight up and down world as Luke Thomas, I live in Washington, D.C., and my world is like this, and this is how I view it, you would never believe that people do things under the table. My dude, this happens everywhere. Everywhere. On all networks, Anderson Cooper gets a little kickback from CNN at times when he does things for their agenda. If you don't think that happens, you're crazy. They just write. Now, he ain't getting no physical cash like somebody would in the UFC, but he going to get a little extra bonus on his salary. He going to get a little bonus for, helping us out here. And that goes like that for all networks. I'm not just trying to single out CNN or anybody like that. That's anybody. That's Fox News. That's anybody. Bro, it happens everywhere. And this guy, he's about to go on his live chat later on and try to preach all this mess about this lawsuit and everything. And he still doesn't believe that fighters get taken care of on the low for whatever you might have did for the UFC. Then, these fighters that come in on short notice, this is the wildest part. Luke Thomas has been arguing to years to BC that if a fighter makes 50 and 50, that's all he makes. He won't make a dime more unless he gets the $50K bonus for fight of the night, performance of the night, whatever the case is. is. And BC's been trying to tell him, bro, they get paid something on the low if the UFC sees fit to give it to him. You have fighters that will save the main event, come in short notice. Bobby Green comes in short notice against Islam Makhachev to fight him in the main event. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Holland comes in short notice to save a fight card, fight somebody, with no preparation at all. And they talk about in these interviews with Ariel about, yeah, the UFC took care of me, so I appreciate that. If the check was right, I'll go in there and fight him on short notice. Luke Thomas is over here. When the fighters say that, so you still believe the guy just literally made 50 and 50? And they're on interviews saying, yeah, I got something a little bit on the low. Then what does he say outside of that? Folks, if you don't know fighters will lie. They will make up things. Everybody lies and makes up things, including you, Luke. But the fact of the matter is, when we're talking about fighter pay, this has been going on for how long has boxing been around? They've been doing it their entire time their sport has been active, let alone the UFC. It's just what happens, my dude. But we're gonna see how it all plays out. I just wanted to kind of come on here on another incoherent talk, another incoherent rant about MMA media, and just get off into this, because these two guys, being Ariel and Luke, I know they're going to continue to do this on their platforms. Again, I will say, to let everyone know where I stand, I don't, Dana White probably is an evil guy. I mean, I saw what he did to his wife. It's kind of rough, bro. He might really be a bad guy, not a stand-up guy, evil guy. UFC might be an evil corporation, so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is, you two guys aren't coming with legit facts to prove that Dana and the UFC are evil. You are twisting the truth, manipulating the facts to support your agenda because you don't like either thing or either company, either entity, I should say. So that was, for me, it's a hypocrisy of it all. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit. Once again, shout out to Jesse on Fire. Shout out to the MMA Guru, who are constantly covering these topics and bringing y'all that real deal. You know what I'm saying? But in the meantime, guys, I appreciate you watching another video. Please like, subscribe, comment. Just, keep rolling with your boy Matt. I got some big things on the horizon. We're going to blow this channel up huge. And in the meantime, I appreciate everything. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.